everybody, welcome back to the Open Source Summit. We're here with Ben and Ruben, and we're talking about something called Camara, an open source project that's in the Linux Foundation that, as far as I understand it, puts a set of APIs in front of your network that makes it easier to invoke, and who knows, maybe those network and DevOps people can get along. Gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having us.
All right. Now, your company is CableLabs, and
Correct.
they are heavily involved in this project. So give us the backstory of how it came together and what it does, and because it's been around a little bit while, and then maybe what's latest and greatest.
Sure. So CableLabs is a nonprofit that does R&D for the cable industry, and our members pay us to get access to all of our patents and any code we write. So our members are companies like Comcast, Charter, Rogers, Vodafone. And what we have going on there right now is a big initiative. I'm in the software group. They're called Network as a Service. So, and that's when we got engaged in Camara about a year ago. And so what that means is we're trying to figure out how to bring a wireline perspective to the Camara project. It started off as mobile first, and there's a lot of great APIs to interface with a mobile network. Those same APIs can sit on top of a wired network as well. So fraud detection is one example. If you're making a purchase on your phone or if you're on your home Wi-Fi, financial institutions will be interested in making a call to be able to tell what level of confidence this is a fraudulent transaction or not. So that's one example of a Camara API that could be used both on the mobile front and on the wired front.
All right. Now, GSMA has been around a while. It's
Right.
venerable.
Yeah,
So
this is-
how did you guys kind of get involved in this whole thing?
Well, actually, GSMA get it into this project with an Open Gateway initiative, right? The Open Gateway initiative take part of Camara as the main flight to development the kind of code that try to standardize these APIs, right? The GSMA job in this ecosystem is to enable and convince and expose all the benefits that API as the Camara have you made it for the ecosystem to make more seamless connection between the layers of the value chain of an enterprises or a channel partners and mobile operators. With these exposures, APIs is going to be more seamless for everybody. And the work of GSMA with the mobile work on our support and with all the bands and with all the white papers and knowledge that we can bring to the table, we support this Camara initiative with the Open Gateway initiative around the world.
So will this make not just the networks themselves a little more accessible, but can I maybe bring the various teams together around an API? Because there's developers, they're familiar with writing code. There's DevOps engineers that are managing infrastructure, but the network's always been kind of off to the side here a little bit. So is this going to at some point converge a little bit more than we've seen in the past?
Yeah, I think so. And you point out an interesting distinction where you've got, we call it northbound and southbound on the API. So northbound is a third-party application developer wants to consume these APIs. Could also be a network operator themselves could consume their own APIs for some sort of support, maybe monitoring, whatever they want to do. They can use that also. But then the southbound side is once you get the intent, they're called intent-based APIs, you intend to interact with the network. The southbound side is then the network config behind it that has to happen to make that possible. For example, if you have an application developer writing a video streaming app and they want to allocate dedicated bandwidth for a session, I need this amount of throughput and this amount of latency and jitter. They can create, use the quality on demand API and create a session. And then on the southbound side, it makes everything happen to reserve that dedicated bandwidth for a session, whether on wireless or a wireline connection.
To his point, I feel like the applications we're trying to build are more distributed, they're more latency sensitive than ever. And are we going to make it easier for developers to understand that? Because I think a lot of times they write applications and they think the network will just magically do something.
You're right. Well, that's the beauty of this. Camara wants that the developers community join this kind of effort in order to enrich that kind of code that could have some kind of advanced project to these APIs, right? With this saying, these APIs has been said, this API process get some kind of certification, right? That the GSMA is running. When the certification, the developers contribute something, Camara gets right in the code. What hundreds of APIs or the prioritization of APIs launch to the market, then get it into the certification process of GSMA that can to put the stamp that say, hey, this is a certification of GSMA with the Camara code, with the developers that are join this kind of community and enrich that kind of code. And with this, the ecosystem of the APIs of developers, channel partners, mobile operators, with a Camara coordination in the coding, is going to expose this GSMA Open Gateway to all the operators around the world.
And that will be more consistent versus having 300 companies that implemented Camara but did it slightly differently.
Well, as you say, that you hit it. It's going to be a seamless process for everybody. It's going to create more value of the in the between the layers of the ecosystem, and it's going to prioritize the monetization of the 5G environment, right? In order to have more and better products to the market. They are better coding, better knowledge of the developers community to enrich this kind of APIs, right? It's a complete project that tries to involve all the ecosystem around the world, and as Ben said, try to get it a seamless process, north to south, south to north, and to try to get it west, east, west in a interoperability with the operators, right? That is going to be the main objective at the end of this.
Yeah. So what's next for Camara? You know, you're in charge of the Skunk Works. What's going on?
Yeah, so Ruben mentioned East-West APIs. I want to talk about that for a minute because that is something that is actively going on right now. So the North-South we talked about already. North is coming in from the application developer, South making the configuration on the network itself. East-West is now between different operators. So you might have a Verizon, AT&T, T-Mobile, Rogers, Vodafone. An application developer does not want to have to write to all of these different network operators to do the same thing, to check the availability of a cell phone number, for example. That should be one API call. So East-West is now federating and connecting these different companies together in one federated API. And Ericsson and Vonage announced a split-off company called Aduna, which is working to achieve that exactly. So that's on the mobile front, and me at CableLabs, we're working the same thing with our members, trying to do a similar thing to federate the API calls and encourage all of our members to join Camara and participate in the project.
How do the other folks watching this get involved? I mean, do I have to work for a telecom company, or is this a community where you're inviting folks, and where do they sign up?
Yeah, so it's on GitHub. All the code is available, all the APIs that we define. We define the APIs, and it's up to the network operators to then implement those APIs. So we define the endpoints and the data schema behind the APIs, and it's public. You can go look at it there. If you want to contribute, then you do need to sign a license agreement with the Linux Foundation and to join an actual, if you want to do like a pull request and push some code up to the project, then you have to join there. But it's free for anyone to go take a look at it. You just go to github.com/Camara project. Camara or Camara project?
Camara project, open source,
I think.
right.
Last question to you. We're all talking about AI agents,
Right.
and there's going to be, I don't know, millions of these eventually sitting on our networks that are all trying to call something through some sort of API. Is the current infrastructure that we're basing everything on really designed for that? And, you know, do we need to kind of put a layer of isolation or abstraction between all these AI agents that are calling APIs so we can build out the infrastructure without necessarily like affecting the software?
Well, that's a very interesting question of these, and The response is, at this point of time, we need to get it into some kind of a step, right? We are going to get it into try to monetize the 5G with the resources that we already have, but now it's coming the 6G, and that is some wording and papers and news that GSMA is bringing to the table with all the white papers and information that we have it for the Mobile World Congress and all the events that we organize. But the response, the answer for your question is yes, but we need to get it into some kind of a step by step to support that kind of traffic or notification, depending of this API's calling. But the responsible of all this is all the telecommunications change, operators, association, developers, partner channels. Everybody need to having that in the top of their mind that we need to join that kind of technology step by step, but as soon as they can, right? This is get it involved budget and forecast and everything like that, but we need to get it into the first step to try to be prepared for theirs coming, right? Because for this Open Gateway initiative, we saw that it's something that needs to be done, right? Is a seamless process, and is going to benefit the ecosystem in technology, in a seamless process with a correct monetization.
I'd like to add one more thing on the AI front. Camara did recently kick off an initiative to explore MCP, the Model Context Protocol, and try and figure out how do we make all of the API calls so that AI can interact with them in an easier fashion. So we are actively looking into that as well.
All right, and we were talking about A2A here at the show. Is that on your radar screen as well?
Yes, we are actively working with A2A and using agentic AI to try and connect these APIs.
All right.
Yeah.
Folks, there's an old joke that says, what's the one thing that a developer and the person running servers can agree on? It's the network guy's fault. Hopefully that won't be as funny as it used to be. Gentlemen, thanks for being on the show.
Thank you for having us.
All right.
Been a pleasure.
And we'll be back in a minute.